right next to me there's a porn star that lives there, and you go, Bridget B, and you go, I just fucked her on Friday.
When I get older, if I don't make it a professional footballer, I'm going to become a porn star.
So what contributes to Los Angeles being the capital of porn industry?
Like spoken down to and like slapped and chosen. I mean, but that's a fetish. Everyone's into different fetishes. Yeah. I'm on set for max 4 or 5 hours, and that's a bad day.
Not the good-looking dude, but the big cock.
5-6 inches. You're not going to have a big career.
So welcome to my podcast, La La Landing.
Thank you very much,
brother. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see you. But before we actually get to what you do, I always remember the story of how we met. I don't know if you even remember this or not, but I do remember having this conversation with you because after the soccer games, you know, that we used to go to King's Head in Santa Monica. So we used to play soccer together.
Yeah.
I hope we'll do it again. But we went to King's Head after the game and we were having this conversation. I think I've been in the US for like a couple of months at that point in time. So I'm pretty fresh. I was barely speaking English. I couldn't really tell anything interesting about myself. So you were asking me like, hey, you know, what are you doing for a living? You know, where are you from? I couldn't really tell much, but like the fun fact about me at that point in time was that right next to me in the apartment next door was living a porn star. So I go, hey, you know, there's not much that I can tell you about myself, but right next to me there's a porn star that lives there. And you go, oh, which one? I'm like, well, fucking hell, Bridget B. And you go, I just fucked her on Friday. That's how I remember meeting you. And I was like, there's no fucking way.
That's
and
hilarious.
I just come home and I check it out, and indeed you did.
Yeah.
So
she's a good girl, Bridget B. Yeah,
Is she?
Yeah, I've known her for many years now. I've worked with her about 5 or 6 times. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's from Barcelona, Spain.
Oh my God.
She talks like with an American accent now.
Yeah?
She's an absolute sweetheart. Yeah.
But it's so funny because like you know, at that point in time, LA was so foreign to me, and it was like so crazy to see what people do, because that's what actually I do here in the podcast. You know, I talk to people about their occupations, and you know, I guess the cat is out of the bag.
Cat is out of the bag.
You're a porn star, or how can I be polite and call this male talent, porn star? What do you prefer?
Adult performer.
Adult performer.
Yeah, I'm a porn star. I mean, you know. But
do you get offended when people say, "Oh, you're a porn star"?
No. I don't get offended. No. But yeah, like adult performer. That's when people ask me, "What do you do for a living?" I just say I work in the adult entertainment industry. And
which is true.
And they say, "Are you in front of the camera or behind the camera?" And I say, "I'm in front of the camera."
Have you seen me? Of course, in front of the camera. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, where are you from?
I'm from London, England, West London, right next to Heathrow Airport. I was born in Ascot Hospital, same hospital as Prince Harry.
Okay.
So around that area.
Okay.
1984. Grew up in a place called Langley, and it was. I had a good upbringing, good childhood, lots of activities, and.
I know you played soccer.
Yeah, played soccer, played football I got scouted for Southampton Football Club when I was 9. I had a few teams come in for me that year. I had like Chelsea, Brentford, Arsenal, but
how old were you?
I was 9. But it was when I was 8 years old. There was a couple of teams that was asking questions and that. But yeah, when I turned 9 that season, Southampton came in and their training academy facility was just down the road. It was quite close to me.
Very convenient.
And obviously Southampton still to this day has one of the best youth academies.
Yeah.
So
they produce so many players.
So many good players. So many world class players. Yeah. And I started training there. That was 1993, and I was with them all the way up until middle of '99. So I was with them for 6 years. So I was there from 9 till just 15 and a half. And then sadly I got an injury in training.
What happened?
I jumped up for the ball a little bit too early. I come down and 2 players landed on my left knee, and it tore my kneecap. Actually ended up like down here, and I just remember like looking at it thinking like what's, and I went like this, and then my kneecap.
So the whole patella went down.
Yeah, patella went all the way down. It's it was like, it was. But then as it came up, my knee blew up, like it really blew up. And the following day, I couldn't even put my school pants on. It was just so I had to go to the physio, and they would drain.
Torn ACL?
Yeah, torn ACL, yeah. And they were draining it twice a week. They were putting these electric shock pads on it, and
Yeah.
for 6 months I was going to. They were trying to rehabilitate it, but sadly I got a call from my manager, and he just said, well, the head of the youth team back then, and he said, listen, he said, sadly we won't be extending your contract. You know, we're going to be letting you go. And the internet was like new at the time. You know what I mean? 99. My name was released to all the clubs around, and I kid you not, within 24 hours, my phone did not stop, and I had everybody: Chelsea, QPR, West Ham, Arsenal, Tottenham, you name it, like Leyton Orient, all the lower end clubs too. But I chose to go to a club called Wycombe Wanderers, so I left, and they were in the first division at the time. So you had. No. Second, it was the second division. Sorry, second division. So you had the Premier League. Now used to Premier League Championship 1, 2. Yeah. But back then it was just Premier League Division 1, Division 2. And Wycombe were in Division 2, so it was 2 divisions lower.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of friends from my area
Okay.
that played for them. You know what I mean? And I already knew I was better than them.
Yeah.
So I thought, if I can get in there, rehabilitate my knee, and I'll get in the first team, and I'll just make it pro, and I'll work my way up. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was a setback. I played for Wycombe for nearly 6 months. I rehabilitated my leg to an extent. I was about 80% fit. I played 18 games for the youth team, and I scored 16 goals. So it wasn't too bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't too bad. Do you know what I mean? Averaging a goal a game, really. I do remember in my last game I scored a hat trick.
Really?
Yeah, on my last game I scored
How come it was the last game?
Because they told me after the game that they wasn't going to give me a YTS, which is a youth training scholarship. So it broke my heart, honestly. And the people that I knew, I found out was going to get a YTS, they were shit. And one of them hadn't played football in a year and a half because he had a bad back. But his dad was manager of Wycombe Wanderers in the 90s.
So it was happening.
It was corruption.
Even in the UK.
Yeah, corruption happens.
So it's the common thing that it makes me feel a little bit better because Ukraine is the same way.
Yeah, it's not who you know. It's not what you know. It's who you know. Yeah. And that really messed me up, I think, a little bit. You know, because I thought, hang on a minute.
At the time, you were what, 16?
Right, yeah, I was 16. I was 16. And after that, I should have probably gone to another, but I saw how corrupt it was there, and I'd heard stories of other clubs doing it, and I just thought, okay, maybe football isn't for me, you know. And I just played for local good teams after that. Like I played semi-pro for a little bit, you know what I mean. But
the focus wasn't there.
Focus wasn't there, you know what I mean. And the dedication for me, and it was like once that happened, that's when I met sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
I started.
That sounds like a good time.
Big hell, it was at the
16.
time.
So you're 16 years old. Where does this happen? Is it London?
In London. Yeah, London. In London. Yeah, in London.
So you moved to London?
No, I'm from London. From London. Yeah, I'm from London. So, yeah, I started working and in construction, and I worked for my uncle, making really good money. So started going out partying, drinking, and thinking I was one of the boys.
Yeah.
And then
where'd you go from there?
Well, that's it. Well, I met this girl when I was about 19.
That's how the trouble started, you know.
She was a stripper. It's really funny actually. She was a stripper, but yet my friend that she was dating was a very respectable family. He'd come from a very respectable family, and he lives out in Dubai now. He's a businessman. You know what I mean? But she was messing around with him, and so anyway, she told me that she had an agent that wanted her to get into porn, and she obviously she didn't want to, but he had told her about an audition he was holding for guys, like the UK's next big porn star. So she told me about it, and I went along, and there was like 7 or 8 guys at my casting, the day of my casting. So I'm from right next to Heathrow Airport, West London. My casting was in a place called Old Street, right next to King's Cross. The morning of my audition, I was so nervous. I just thought, and my best friend, who's my best friend to this day, Chris, he wanted to take me. He wanted to come along and see what it was about, really, but not that he wanted to.
So he didn't want to participate.
No, he didn't want to participate.
Oh my God!
He didn't want to participate at all. He was joking around with them.
So he was your first fan even before.
Oh no,
He was I love it.
And so he took me along to the casting, and again there was like 7 or 8 guys there, and I just remember my friend was bragging to this girl about saying, "Oh, my friend's got a massive cock." You know, he's like, Maxine cock, you know. So
which in retrospect is a bit weird.
So, listen,
I understand he was being a good friend,
but me and my friend had slept with a few girls, so you know what I mean. So he'd seen it, and anyway, so it was no secret to him. So he's telling this girl anyway. So she's in makeup, and then she comes out and she says, "Listen, your friend's in here telling me you've got a massive cock." She goes, "I want you show it to me." So I'm like, "Oh Jesus!" So I give it a little pull, you know, in my pants and make sure I've got like a big one. And then I get it out, and within like a minute, this one guy says, "Oh, I've got to go outside and make a phone call, yeah." And this other guy says, "Yeah, I got to go to my car. I left something in my car." So my friend goes to the window. We're like 5 floors up, and we see one guy run up the road one way, and another guy run the other way. So that was 2 down. Anyway, cut the short story. The girl came out of makeup. Her name was Tammy Lee. I remember her name was Tammy Lee. And she came out and she said, "Right, I'm ready. Who wants to go first?" And I was only 19, right? But I stood up, and these 2 other guys tried to stand up. I said, "Sit down, gentlemen." I said, "You got 2 hopes, Bob Hope and No Hope." I said, "I'm fucking going first, right?" So I'm not, going second or, Jesus. So, but I was so nervous. Not about the sexual part. That was easy for me, to be honest. But the talking on camera, that was hard. Like,
isn't it funny? I think honestly, half of the people that'll be watching would be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're doing porn and you're worried about talking to the camera."
Yeah,
but
that's because it was the first time. It was the first time on camera, and that I was stood next to someone, and he's asking me questions, and I couldn't control my mouth. I went like this. I went to talk, and I went, and I went, I said, cut. I said, "What the fuck was that?" And he said, "You're just really nervous." And I said, "I'm not nervous." He said, "I can tell you're really nervous." I said, "Well, I'm nervous about talking on camera." I said, "I'm not nervous about, having sex with her." He was like, "Are you sure you're going to be able to do the deed?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be fine." And cut long story short, I did the shoot. I was the only guy to get it up, perform. Come. It was a condom scene. I had a condom. I did the scene. And it's so funny. It was a good scene. And then afterwards, she took my number. The girl, she gave it to a talent agency or an adult agency in London called the Walpole Group. They were in South London. I went along a couple of days later. I took my photos, put it up on their website, but she got me a job with a girl called Kathy Barry, who it's so funny. I'd been jerking off to this woman since I was like 12, 13 years of age. And then I get my first professional porn job down in Bristol. So I had to drive from London all the way to Bristol. 2 hours away, not far. My first paid job was with a woman.
So the first one was basically a trial?
Yeah, the first one
done well, impress somebody.
Yeah. It was like a tryout, you know what I mean? There was a bunch of guys that wanted to see if you could perform. But my first job was with Kathy Barry. And I worked for her many times. But listen, bro, I told my mum about what I did. I came home from, don't forget, I was only 19, so I was still living at home at the time. And I said to my mum, "I have a new job." And she said, "What is it?" And I said, I didn't want to tell her at first. I was very hesitant. But later on that night, I came downstairs for a glass of water. And my mum was in the corner smoking a cigarette. I didn't even see her. And when I came back through the room, she scared me. I was like, "Oh," she said, "Sit down." She goes, "Can you tell me what you're doing?"
Because moms know.
Yeah.
She's like, she probably felt like they were up for no good. She's like, what's
she knew I was up to something. So, no, I told her, I said, "Listen, I'm going to try my hand in the adult entertainment industry."
What was her response?
And she was, listen, for about a week, she was quiet. She didn't talk to me that much for like a week. But then within 2-3 months, I worked in Milan, I worked in Barcelona, I worked in Prague. I was traveling all over Europe. I was getting paid really good money. I was like staying out of trouble in London, and she loved that. You know what I mean? So she was just all about it. Yeah, she's great. She's always been supportive about it. My mum.
But that's an interesting part that I was actually curious about, because obviously this industry kind of comes with a stigma. There's certain industries that come with a stigma, right? There's
especially porn.
I was just interviewing somebody that's in cannabis business, right? It comes with a stigma as well, especially in certain countries. Like I'm coming from Ukraine, it's a drug. right?
yeah.
Might be recreational over here, but it's a full-blown drug over there.
Yeah.
So how do you still feel like people have stigma towards that? How have you dealt with this stuff?
Oh, mate, it's water off a duck's back to me. I don't care about the stigma of me. I am who I am. You know what I mean? And my job doesn't define who like exactly who I am. You know, I love porn for the simple fact that nothing I don't think can pay me as much money for the least amount of hours. So it gives me much more time to spend with my family, loved ones, and everything like that. You know what I mean? Like just because I do porn, I'm not I'm not a horny little pervert 24/7. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I'm at work and I'm on set, I have to become this character. I mean, obviously, we all have a sexual deviance inside of us anyway. You know what I mean? I let mine come out when I'm on camera with my co-star, with my female co-stars. But there's certain performers like me that like to make sure that the set is run smoothly. So like I always make sure that my female talent is respected. I always tell them beforehand, if I've never worked with a girl, I always say to them, listen, you're in total control of this situation. If there's anything at any moment that you don't feel comfortable with, that you don't like, that you don't want to do, you cut it straight away.
Yeah.
The power is in your hand. I don't want, you know what I mean? And
That's why they probably appreciate you, and that's probably contributes to longevity in the industry.
yeah. Well, yeah, of course. You want to be. The girls want to be respected, even though some of them want to be fuck senseless, and some of them like to be downgraded. It's a bit weird, that, you know what I mean. But for me, some of them like to be like spoken down to and like slapped and choked. I mean, but that's a fetish. Everyone's into different fetishes. But like, for instance, I just shot a scene about 5 months ago with it was a boy-girl scene, okay? So it was another guy and this girl. And the guy, I turned up, I could tell he was super young, right? So I said to him, how old are you? And he said, I'm 20 years old. And he looked like 18. I said, how many scenes have you done? And he said, I've done like 10 scenes. And I said, are you nervous today? He said, yeah, I'm really nervous. Yeah. And I said, what? I said, but he said, well, I've grew up watching you. He said, and like, I know who you are, and he goes, I know who she is, and this is a big company. And I said, listen, and it was just me and him. There was no one else there, the director and everyone else is in a different room. And I said, listen, I want this today to go as smoothly as possible. I said, I've already worked with the girl. She's a sweetheart. You can literally do whatever you want to her. She doesn't care. Yeah. I said, but you being new male talent, you can if they get too nervous, this isn't going to work. You know what I mean? So I just said to him, I said, you can start the scene, you can take control. If you can do whatever.
And it empowers people.
Yeah,
when somebody in your status, because you've been in industry for quite a few years. To say the least, so it empowers people to hear something like that from you,
Yeah.
And it does the same thing in business and soccer, everywhere else, where you're just being humane, you're just being a normal person. It doesn't fucking matter what you do, really.
No, of course. But I always wanted the scenes again to run smoothly, you know what I mean? And I didn't want him having any more added pressure on his shoulders. So I just said to him, listen, you take control of the scene, you do this and that, and he was like, he said, thank you so much for saying that. He said, like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Cut long story short, we started the scene. He was a little bit slow out the blocks, but after about 5 minutes, I said, cut, pause, and I said, just have a couple minutes alone, and he was good, And then the rest of the scene went smoothly, and it was a good, easy day. You know what I mean? So, I always like to make sure that my co-star. I like to I'm a protector at heart, so I like to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that everyone there has a good day,
that's the thing, because you're right. When people look at you, they get to judge you by your profession. They don't know you personally, but I know you as that person. That's a protector, and it's just very interesting to see that you're even able to use that and contribute that at your work. You would think that you just come in, fuck girls, and you go home, but there's a whole industry around you, and you're not there for a day. Especially if you come in it and you stay in it with this attitude, you have to show your humane side, because otherwise nobody wants to work with fucking dicks.
No, 100%. Now listen, in the past, in recent years, not in recent years, but like in 10, 15 years ago, there has been times where directors or producers have wanted a certain level of performance from me and the girl, and could be screaming and shouting a bit, you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, pick up the tailor and all this, and they're like saying this, saying that. Some girls, they fold under that pressure, you know what I mean? They don't like it. Some of them can cry, they can get upset. So there's been a few times where I've had to tell the directors that, like, keep your mouth shut, you know what I mean? It's not, no need for that, you know what I mean? We're already doing a good job, you know, you don't have to push them. Because sometimes the girls, they do feel the pressure.
Well, because I mean, you're there, so you're the one that actually feels whether or not it's going well. But you know, we're talking about this stuff and about this topic. Does it ever feel fucking surreal to you that, you know, you've been in this industry for so long and this is what you do for a living, and you know, you're seriously basically telling me secrets of porn? Like, does it ever feel surreal? Have you ever thought that you might end up in this position? Because I sometimes catch myself thinking that, you know what I mean? Like, I would go and I would sell this $1 million home. I'm just a guy from Novakhovka in Ukraine. Like, we're known for growing watermelons. You know what I mean? Like, my mom and my dad have worked all of their life to make enough money to buy $30,000 condo, right? And now I would go and I'm selling right now $1 million condo overlooking Pacific Ocean. And sometimes I just catch myself thinking, it's fucking surreal. Like, it just doesn't, like, is that me? I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. Like, it's just, do you ever feel this way, especially considering, you know, the specificity of your trade?
Yeah, I do. It's so funny that you say your mum and dad grew up growing watermelons, because when I walked in, your beautiful wife was eating a watermelon. So
I know.
Do you know, apparently, I don't remember saying this, but when I was when I was about 11 years old, I told a friend of mine, I said, when I get older, if I don't make it a professional footballer, I'm going to become a porn star. Now, they always tell me this. They say, you did it, you know, and like, I always knew that I would be...
It's a good story for publicists.
I always knew that I would be some kind of like semi-famous, you know what I mean? And when I say like semi-famous, because obviously I get recognised a lot when, if I'm at like, it's crazy, but if I'm at like Disneyland or Universal or at the water park,
that must be so awkward.
People look at me and
because people are there with their kids and they're like, "Oh, I know you."
Yeah. It's funny when people say, "I know you from somewhere," and I go, no. But yeah, no. Listen, I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed. I know I'm in a very fortunate position. God blessed me with certain attributes. You know, listen, this is the way I look at life. Like, God gives you a hand to play life with, you know what I mean? So I exceeded in my talent with soccer. I was very good at soccer, so I tried as best I could in that, but it didn't pan out. And I knew that I would do well in porn. I just knew that I would do. I'm a people person. I'm good with people, and obviously, and I love to have sex. So I just love women. So that all just helped with everything, you know what I mean? And again, I'm very, very grateful. And it's led to other opportunities. Like I was in, I've done a couple of mainstream films. I've done like a bunch of stuff for MTV, like commercials and things like that, you know what I mean? It's like, do you know, when I was living in the UK, I swear to God, I used to go on these auditions, and I used to always get them. Like 95% of the time, they would call me back within a couple of days, say, yeah, you got it. And I'd see like all these other people there. But it was just, I guess I had a good personality, you know what I mean?
I mean, it is a competitive environment, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah.
And if you're winning, you know, why would you stop?
No, exactly. Yeah. Winning.
People are running away from the room.
Yeah. My good friend Charlie Sheen says that. Winning.
Wow, that's so funny. How did Los Angeles show up on a horizon?
I love Los Angeles. I do. I love Los Angeles. It really annoys me when I hear people talk shit about Los Angeles.
And stay here.
Yeah, and they stay
here
like,
and talk shit.
Like I'm a foreigner, you're a foreigner. Yeah. We're very fortunate to live here. It pisses me off when I hear it's like American people talk shit about LA. Like not the locals, because the locals that live here, most locals, they love living in LA. It's changed. It's definitely changed, probably for the worse, in my opinion. It was probably better 10, 15 years ago. But that's just because of economy and the homeless sadly going up. But that's not their fault. That's just the crazy world we live in. But But yeah, it annoys me when people say, oh, and they complain about living here. And I think, well, where are you from? Yeah, I'm from Idaho. I'm from Chicago. Well, go back there.
The
then.
fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, well, yeah. Like if you hate living, why do you hate living here? Oh, the cost of living and you know, and the traffic and things like that. Like I say, listen, do you go hiking?
Yeah.
No. Do you go to the beaches? You got the best concert venues, the Hollywood Bowl, Crypto Center, Dodger Stadium. Where the diversity when it comes to the restaurants here, and people travel from all over the world, I might add, to come to these beaches all along these coastlines. You know what I mean? And we're blessed. We're blessed.
It's such a good point, honestly, because I always tell people...
Sun's out 300 days of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, if you don't participate in those activities, if you don't care about, seeing Taylor Swift concert today and LA Lakers play tomorrow and go to the beach on Thursday, if you're not participating, if you're not doing this stuff actively, if you're sitting at home and just paying $3,000 for a two-bedroom apartment, not doing any of this stuff, you know what I mean? Maybe Bakersfield is all right. Maybe, there's some other places that will suit you more because you're paying extra for all of the things that you're mentioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and especially definitely again, I lived in this area, so you got great hikes. You know what I mean? Hollywood's not too far. You got Runyon Canyon, you got Fryman Canyon. I love going hiking.
When was the first time you ended up in Los Angeles?
I moved here. I moved to. So what happened? I met my ex-wife in London. She's from Orange County. Met her in the April of 2007. We worked together, and she proposed to me the same day.
You're joking.
No, she proposed.
You must be really good.
So we worked together, and she said to me, she said, "Wow," she said, "you're pretty amazing." She
said, material.
She said, she said, "I want to marry your ass and take you to LA," and I said, "Done." Like it was.
You're joking.
No, I kid you not. That's how it was.
You're joking.
That's how it was.
At that time, how old were you?
I was 23. Yeah, I was 23. No, I was 22. I was turning 23.
Okay.
I was 22. April 2007. Yeah, so I was 22.
That's crazy.
Turning 23.
So and what do you do? You say deal?
I said deal, and so I wined and dined her and treated her like a princess in London for 2 weeks. Took her to all the best restaurants, all the best clubs, all that stuff when you're in your early 20s, and she loved it. I introduced her.
Not enough to stay.
Oh no! She wanted to come. Not enough to say. Well, it rains a lot in England, doesn't it? It rains a lot in London. Yeah. It's great. Listen, and I'm not just saying this because I'm from there. In my opinion, London's the best city in the world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. If you got money, I know it sounds snobbish, but I mean I don't come from money. I've made good money in my business. But
what did your dad pick you up from the school when you were in the 5th grade? Was it Rolls Royce or no?
No, it definitely wasn't Rolls Royce.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, with David Beckham. That was brilliant. But no. So I moved here in 2007, and it was just when I first came out here the first time, it was just to see if I could live here. To be honest, I was here for like 2.5 weeks, but she really took me to some really good places, and she had friends with money, so we went on a boat down to Lake Tahoe for 3-4 days. He had a mansion down there, and we just went nice restaurants.
How could you say no?
We went to
when you're exposed to that.
We went to Universal, Water Park, Six Flags, all that, and I was like, yeah, I could live here. Yeah.
It would do.
24-hour diners, Denny's. Yeah, if I'm hungry, 3 in the morning, go and get a steak or something. Yeah, I could live here. Apple pie. Oh yeah. So and obviously the heartbeat of my industry, the porn industry, is Los Angeles. So it would make sense for me to move here. So. She gave me that was my in, you know what I mean? And she says that she fell in love with me like the first day we met. She'd love at first sight and all that. I don't believe in love at first sight. I know some people do, but I believe in lust at first sight. You know what I mean? You can lust after someone. I believe that you could fall into love with someone within a few days or a week, 100%. If that's your person, and you can definitely, I believe in that, but. Not love at first sight. That's an old. I don't know. I think that's a load of shit. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, oh, I love you. You lust after someone. You think, you know what I mean. Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Basically, get mesmerized.
Yeah, mesmerized. You know what I mean. But yeah, we got married in the December that year. So 8 months after we met, we got married. But what it was I came to here for 2 weeks. She came to London for 2 months, and then because she did, even though we'd agreed that I'd move here, she came back to London. She liked it there, and I mean, I wasn't 100% all in. You know what I mean? So she came back and then it rained a little bit that summer, and she was like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, so
not doing that.
So in the October, we did. I made the big step and moved here. So yeah, we got married in the December. I was married for about a year and a half until it all just kind of went pear shaped with her. So just it's life. It happened. But we had a daughter together, and
you have a beautiful kids. And honestly, this is such a great example. Because I always watch you, and I know how much love you have to your kids, and it just allows me to sort of separate, the person that you could be on a screen, and just the person that I know you in real life.
Yeah.
But to the topic of Los Angeles in general, why do you think it's basically a capital city for the porn? What contributes to it? I mean, because it's not the weather that contributed to Hollywood becoming Hollywood, because you could shoot 365 days a year or something over here, right? Porn industry is different. So what contributes to Los Angeles being a capital of porn industry?
I think that the reason that the porn capital is here in Los Angeles is because of mainstream Hollywood, to be honest with you.
Really?
Because you think when porn was shot and getting big, and I mean, porn's been around for a long time, to be honest with you, bro. I mean, porn's been around.
I was just in Czech Republic. There was a museum of sex toys. So they were showing porn from basically beginning of 20th century, right around the time when, the movies were just starting to become popular.
Yeah, but I mean, porn got really popular in the late 70s and the 80s here in America, and Debbie Does Dallas and Deep Throat and whatnot that were massive in New York, in Times Square, and when it was being aired. But going back, I think that the reason why porn is so big here is because a lot of directors and producers that couldn't make it in mainstream Hollywood decided to, as time goes on, if they don't make a success in Hollywood, they cross over and come into porn. You know what I mean?
Really?
I
would never think that I would think that it's almost like a parallel universes that never cross, but
no, especially in recent years, a lot of porn stars have done a couple of parts in mainstream movies and whatnot. So. And I listen, as much as it is still obviously taboo and frowned upon, if you want porn, it's definitely a lot more wide open now. But I don't get this stigma like I used to. It's nowhere near as bad. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, I have a lot of civilian friends. That's what people in porn. That's what we call you're my civilian friends. Yeah.
Oh my God!
If you're not in the industry.
You're a
civilian. Yeah, you're not. If you're not a porn, you're a civilian.
And it's probably the same with the military,
Yeah.
Because you're different. Those industries basically, I mean, it sounds like they just shape you in a certain way, especially the professional world.
Yeah.
That everybody from the outside, they wouldn't be able to get that. So you have to almost separate them.
Yeah. Like if I'm with one of my civilian friends, I mean, I've got more civilian friends than I do. I only hang out with 2 or 3 porn people, you know what I mean?
Why is that?
Just not for me, I don't want to, even though I do porn, I don't want to be talking about it and 24/7, which a lot of porn people do. With I do other things, you know what I mean? I like to live my life, So I love my industry. I love what it's given to me over the years, and I've served it. It served me, but I definitely have a lot more civilian friends that are just like normal people, your average people, just normal, good people. And then none of them judge me. None of them judge me. Because none of them see me as like doing porn. Because none of them ask me questions, this and that. It's not.
What do you think is the most difficult conversation you had to have? I mean, you mentioned how you had this conversation with your mom, but this is the same conversation you have to have with your grandparents, with your kids.
So my grandparents was the hardest
Really?
hardest time.
How'd it go?
Okay, so
you need to sip first.
Just before I left England to move to the US, I took them out for dinner with my mum. I was so nervous about telling my grandparents what I was.
More nervous than before you did the first scene?
My mum said to me, "You have to tell them. You have to tell them. It's not right that you moved to the US without telling them." And I said, "Okay, I've got to tell them." So I took them out to a nice restaurant. It was like a pub restaurant, but it was a nice one. Anyway, I was sick 3 times during the meal. I couldn't keep anything down. Yeah. I kept going to the toilet and was being sick because I was so anxious, so nervous. Wow. And I didn't tell them at the table. I couldn't tell them. It happened to have been weird. So anyway, so we get in the car, we drive home, and my granddad drops us off, and he says, "Listen, we're going to go home." And my mum says, "Please come in. Daniel's got something to tell you." So we go in, and my granddad and my mum says, "Please just tell him." So, and I said, "I'm moving to America, Los Angeles."
That's a great setup when somebody pushes you to tell them something.
I said, I'm moving to Los Angeles, and my granddad says, "What are you going to be doing for work there? What are you going to be doing, to get an income, to make an income?" And I said, "The same thing I've been doing for the past 4 years here in the UK." And I said, I'm going to be working in the adult entertainment industry. And my nan, bless her, she hobbled over. She had a bad knee. She hobbled over. She held my hand, proper nan. I had the best nan. I named my daughter after my nan. My daughter, she has the same name as my grandma. They leave, and my mum says to my grandma, "Call me when you get home." And so she calls her, and my mum says to my grandma, "What did he say in the car? What did he say in the car?" And my granddad gets in the car with my grandma, and he looks at and he says, "What the bloody hell is the adult entertainment industry?" He didn't have a clue. And my grandma says...
Maybe honestly that was to your advantage that he didn't know.
Yeah.
So he just played it cool and then...
Yeah, and my grandma says, "Have you heard of the Chippendales?" And my granddad says, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, it's kind of like that." And he says, "I don't want to know." He says, "I don't want to know." And then that was it. That was the only time. Apart from that, bro, there's not one person that I've ever...
How about your kids? Because I would imagine that's the most difficult one.
Yeah, well, my son is way too young, but my daughter, bless her, she's nearly 16. She's known now for just over 3 years. So she was 12 and a half when she was... When she was about 9 or 10, she asked me if I was famous. And I said, "Why do you..." We were in a car, I'll never forget. We were at the car, we were in a car, traffic lights. She said, "Dad, can I ask you something?" I said, "You can ask me anything." And she said, "Are you famous?" And I looked at her and I said, "Why do you ask that?" And she said, "Because sometimes when we're out," she said, "people just treat you differently." She says, "And sometimes people ask you for a photo, and sometimes random guys shake your hand." She said, "And it's weird."
So how did you explain that?
And I just said, "Well," I said, "Honey," I said, "people just recognize me from my soccer days when I played for it." And she
needed a couple more years. You needed to buy some time.
And she was too young at the time, And so, when she found out, my ex-wife, her mum, texted me. She said, "Please call me straight away. We need to talk." And usually that's just about money, so I just send her some more money. But I called her. She said, "She knows." And I said, "Well, what do you mean she knows?" She said, "Listen, her grades dropped a little in school, so I took her phone away. I went through her messages, and one of her friends called me. She said, "Well, your mum's a dirty fucking ex-porn slut." She goes, "And your dad still does it, right?" So she obviously she knows, She spoke to my daughter. She called me later on that evening, crying, my ex, and she was like, "We have a great daughter. She's so she's so understanding.
Pure.
She's so understanding, and she's just so she doesn't care." And I said, "Put her on the phone." And I said, "Hello." And she said, "Hello." And I said, "Do you have anything you want to ask me or say to me or tell, anything you..." And she said, "Dad, I wouldn't change you for anybody." She said, "I wouldn't change my mum for anybody." She said, "You've taught me right from wrong." She goes, "I've never wanted for anything. Everything I've ever wanted, you've always given me. You've taught me right from wrong, and she said, I'm blessed to have you, and that was like it meant so much.
So heartwarming.
Yeah, so she's
she's a lovely kid. I still remember you bringing her.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, no, she's good as gold, but she's naughty because she goes to school. She changed schools.
Now. She's supposed to be.
Yeah, no. But I say naughty. I mean, she tells people about what I do.
Oh, in that way.
Yeah, so she doesn't care.
So she's showing off.
She's showing off. She's like, "My dad is this famous porn star."
And it started being challenging, and it became bragging rights.
I kid you not. I told her she moved to this new school a couple of years ago, and I said to her, "Please don't tell anyone from this school
could you not?
about me or your mum or anything." I said, "Because it's not." I said, "It'll just come back to haunt you." I said, "That's it. People, some people aren't friendly, and they'll just get bullies, Yeah. And I went and picked her up one day from school, and there was a bunch of kids at the by the crossing there, and they were like, they saw me and they're like shouting, "Oh, you legend! You're a legend!"
Yeah.
Coming from a bunch of school kids, it's
Yeah,
a bit weird.
you know that they're
It's like,
basically trying to troll.
yeah, and I drove away from there and looked at her, you know, and I was like, what did you do that for? You know, you can't.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry. Like, she thinks it's funny, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. But, you know, talking about your work in general, what exactly is your work? Because, I mean, you probably would think that, you know, you just show up, you sleep with a girl, you go home, but there's got to be more to it.
So much more to it.
What exactly is your
So
work?
listen,
How would you describe it and explain it?
I'm very blessed in the respect that me personally, I'm never there on set I'm on set for max 4 or 5 hours, and that's a bad day. On a good day, I'm there for 2 or 3 hours, you know. So I like
Come in for the kill.
Yeah, I come in, I do my paperwork. I'm always a gentleman to everybody on set. I know the makeup artists. Paperwork, you go, your model releases. Some companies, model releases this big, some model releases like a bloody Harry Potter book, and it takes like 10 minutes to fill out, you know?
Crazy.
You always have to do it on video now, you know, you have to show your IDs, legal, and the legality of it. And
so you don't do it DocuSign, you don't do it just click.
some companies are doing DocuSign now, some of them, but I mean, again, it's just some companies still have the paperwork
It's just
and
a
whatever.
protection
And,
thing for
yeah,
them
and then, you know,
already.
you turn up on set, they give you a call time, so you could be 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever. There's always, well, 90% of the time, there's dialogue leading up to the sex, so they'll do a little intro.
So you don't know the dial, I mean, because
No,
it's not the focus.
I get given it sometimes a week in advance, 2 days in advance. I worked for a director, a big director a couple of weeks ago, where he sent me this.
Clint Eastwood?
No,
not that
a bit bigger than him. No, I love Clint Eastwood, one of my heroes.
He's incredible, yeah.
I had a 3 p.m. call time, and the director sent me my script at 1:30.
Really?
And it was a big script.
Yeah, what do you
This is the thing, right? I tell you that I will give porn stars, not everyone, but a lot of people in my industry are able to deal with that and do that. Are able to get a script a couple of hours in advance. Some big movie stars would obviously be able to do it, but a lot of them wouldn't. A lot of them wouldn't. Not some of them would stress. I can't fucking remember all this, you know, like. And I've had dialogue, you know, like this big, you know, and I've had to. Listen, the best part of it, you haven't got to like. If you can learn it word for word, obviously that's great. But they usually say, listen, get the gist of it.
Yeah.
And there's certain keywords that they need you to use for the future of the dialogue. I love it. I love the intro because you were playing a different character. I mean, obviously for the best part, I'm playing a tall, handsome.
What are your favorite characters that you had to play?
Bro, there isn't one I haven't played. I've been the pizza boy. I've been a lawyer. Solicitor.
I feel like that's the given. You have to do a pizza boy if
I've
been
been
in the
a plumber. I've been the funniest one I've done was when I was brand new in the industry. I was just turning 20 years old. I was a football hooligan, and I had to shoot it out. We were shooting out in Prague, in Czech Republic, and I had to dress up. I had to have England flags. I had an England flag, actual flag. And I had to go around like shouting at people, like when I was like, we were using the public pretty much, you know, and I'd done it to the wrong people, and these builders, these contractors, these construction workers thought that I was a genuine thug, like terrorizing. So they come running over with hammers, and they fucking chased me around the corner. I was on.
Did it make it?
I was
to the
on
movie?
my toes. No, it didn't make it to the movie. But the director. Had to, and the producer and everyone had to come running round and was like, no, we're filming. And they said, like, you know, he was this close to getting a hammer. And I thought, oh, Jesus. And I did say to the doctor, I told you this wasn't a good idea, but he thought it was funny.
So you show up, you get a script.
Yep.
Because I'm trying to understand how does it work? You show up, you get
the script sent on you and an email usually, and then when you turn up to set, you get given a hard copy. Yeah. Okay. So you can go over it. And then you're with your co-star. And you're just like, say this, like it's a fucking set, you know.
Shake hands, you obviously get acquainted.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about shaking hands, usually give a little cuddle and a kiss on the cheek, you know what I mean? But yeah, obviously with the fucking director and that, shake hands and you greet everyone. And then, you go over your script and you go over it 4 or 5 times. And then you put the script to one side and you try and do it again, you know what I mean? And you might have to, a couple of times, look at the script because there's but then that's it, bro. Once you get comfortable and you get the gist of it, And you go, and then the doctor says, "Are you ready? Do you feel confident to?" And you go, "Yeah, yeah." They go, "Do you want to give it one last run through?" And I go, "No, let's just."
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
How long did it take for that to get kind of mundane? You just come in, that's what you do. There's, it's almost like rolling through the stages.
After a couple of years, it just feels like it's like Groundhog Day. It's like I love the turning up of set and just doing this. Like I hate to turn up on set and be there for like. I don't work for anyone, thankfully, like that anymore. But I'd hate to turn up on set like 10 o'clock, and I'm not used till 4 or 5 p.m. Like, what the fuck was I doing there the whole day? You know what I mean? I'm a penis for hire. I'm not a piece of furniture. If you want me to come and entertain people, put an extra like 500 on my check. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? If you feel like, I don't like to. That's why a great thing about my job is I turn up. Always a gentleman. I do a good job. I always make sure that the girl's protected, make sure everyone has a good day on set. And I always have a shower afterwards. It's crazy being a porn star. I shower like 3 times a day, sometimes 4 times a day, because I have a shower in the morning.
That's a challenging part of a profession.
I work most days, so I shower after that. Then I train jiu-jitsu most evenings, so I shower after that. You know what I mean? It's just like living in the shower. It's like
it's so funny.
Yeah,
it's so funny. But you mentioned that you work almost all days. How does your schedule usually look like on a monthly basis? Like how many days a week, a month you would? It
varies. It varies.
On average.
It varies. So I just like in my 20s, I would work anywhere between 6, 7 days a week. Right. So I was very busy. Sometimes doing 2 scenes a day.
Really.
But thankfully now I'm still busy. But I work like this week. I only have 2 days booked.
Okay.
Sorry, 3 days booked. So today's Wednesday. I work tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And then next week I also have another 3 days booked in. But like usually in a month I work anywhere between 12 and 18 shoots. So, but like, bro, if I work 2 days a week, that's great. That's fine for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine for me. Even if I worked 8 days a month, and my OnlyFans, that would be more than enough money. Do you know what I mean? To survive and to save. So, listen, again, I'm very blessed and very fortunate to be in the position I am.
Well, honestly, I was a little surprised to hear how many parallels are between porn industry and just a regular film industry. In your industry, is that similar with how you book jobs? You need agents, you need managers, all of that kind of stuff, or it's a little more straightforward?
I think it definitely helps at the beginning. There are certain agencies that have got a bad reputation and they're frowned upon, just like every industry really. But for the best part, when you become an established talent and if you get a following on Twitter or Instagram or whatever it may be, people obviously become aware of who you are, and it's even though it's a massive industry, it's still amongst the key players. Porn is the same as every industry, okay? Like you have your Premier League, you have your Champions League, you know what I mean?
So where are you in that?
Are you competing? I'm the Man United.
Are you competing for the title?
I'm the Man United of.
At this point in time, Man United is not much of a compliment. Let's be honest.
We're on the rebuild, okay? But we're still a big talent.
So Champions League material here.
Yeah, of course, bro. So listen, again, I'm very lucky. I work for the great companies. I work with great women, great girls, and I'm on great sets. Do you want me to tell you a quick story about being on set? A funny story. It's happened recently, right? So I'm going to say his name because he won't. I don't even know his last name. And so I was on set recently, and it was for a company called New Sensations, which is a very big company. And my scene partner was a girl called Liz Schuyler. We had to do the dialogue, the pickup line outside. Now I was in a suit. We shot this about early April, I think. It was warm, but it wasn't roasting, yeah. I needed some sunglasses because it was so bright. I couldn't. Anyway, so the director said, go into the house on the table. There's about 5 or 6 pairs of sunglasses. Pick a pair. As I went to go in, this PA was holding the boom and whatnot. He was holding the reflection board at the time. He said, I've got these sunglasses. You can wear them, right? So anyway, I put them on and they was great. Right? So I used them. And I tried them on. They were a great fit. So I used them for the pickup, for the dialogue, you know. So then the director says, right, let's go inside and let's shoot sex stills. So we go inside, and Nelson's in the kitchen doing or whatever, and we go into this room, and the girl starts giving me a blowjob, and the photographer was like snapping away, and then he says, oh, you still got the sunglasses on, Danny, you don't need them anymore. So I said, oh, let me put them down. So I take them off, and as I go to put them on the side, the girl says, oh, put them on your cock, and I'll suck it, and we'll take some photos, it'll be funny. And I didn't even think about Paul Nelson's sunglasses, So I just went, oh yeah, and I put them on, right? I had a big freaking hard on. I put them on, and she's like this, you know, and it looked funny, you know. But the director was like, stop it. He said, I don't want Nelson. Anyway, so I heard Nelson coming around the corner. So before he got to the room, I took them off, you know. And he then got a sense or a feeling of what I was gonna do, and he thought I was about to do it.
Yeah.
So he came over and goes, nah man, not my sunglasses, bro. And he went to take them off of me, you know. And I said, no, I need a baby wipe.
Yeah.
I need to clean them. And he said, nah, bro. And I said, no, Nelson, I need to clean them. Yeah. Then he knew, you know. Obviously he knew, you know. So I threw myself under the bus. Right. This guy, by the way, is 6'5", 280 pounds. So
not the person to mess around with.
Oh, but he knows. He knows I train, you know, because I've told him I train. I just got my brown belt, so he's never trained, so I don't think he wants any part of that. So he is then stood there with the boom. He was so angry.
Not knowing what to do.
He was angry, and his job is not just to be the boom, but baby wipes or like water during the scene if we have to stop, or like lube, things like that, you know. But he just stood there with this boom, and we didn't stop. We went all the way through. We did the pop shot, and then the camera panned out, and and this guy just put the boom down, and he got in his car and he
just drove off.
And he drove off, and the company owner, who's a good friend of mine, called me that evening and was like, what the fuck happened? And I told her what happened. I said, you know, this. Yeah. I said, listen, all right, I probably shouldn't have done it. I said, I'll apologise. I said, I'm not, not an arsehole. I said, listen, if they would have been Pradas or Gucci's or fucking Versace's, I wouldn't have done it. I said, but they were a $5 pair from Santa Monica Pier. I said, do you know what I mean? It's not like they were great. About 4 days later, I worked for the same company. It was in downtown. And Nelson wasn't there. There was another PA. His name's Brent, and he's a gay dude. And I turned up, and the first thing he done was he took his sunglasses off and said, "Danny, do you want to borrow my sunglasses?" And I said, "No, I'm good." Yeah, but it was just all fun and games. And then I bumped into Nelson about 2-3 months after on another set. I was working for another company, but they'd rented the same location, just a different part of the, you know. And I saw him and I went, "Nelson." And he looked at me and I said, "I'm sorry for my little mishap." I said, I hope we can one day
forgive you?
He said, "That's okay, dude, that's okay." But he doesn't want to be on the same set as me, which is okay.
I can't blame him. Honestly, I can't blame him.
Yeah. It's, you know, but listen, again, that guy, Nelson, bless him, has only been on 8 or 10 of my sets. So I don't know him that well.
Yeah.
But friends of mine that I've known for like 10, 15 years.
They would get it.
Yeah, they wouldn't care.
They would get it.
That's he's not a real porn person yet. Once he's a real porn person, it's like...
So that was a test.
Yeah, it was a test. Listen,
he failed it yet, but look, he's working on it.
Listen, if you're at a porn set, then you might get you might get anything accidentally on you. You know what I mean? A girl might squirt, a guy might come, a little bit might get on your eye. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you can take it personally.
He took it too personally, bless him. You know,
so funny.
Yeah, he needs to lighten up a bit.
You know, one of the things that I'm trying to do over here is to give people kind of actionable advice. You know, and I've spoken to a lot of people, usually more conventional professions like, you know, lawyer or electrician or whoever. But if somebody wants to get into the porn industry, let's just say there's, I don't know, Ivan the fucker somewhere in, you know, buttfuck Ukraine right now. He's already fucked all of the village and, you know, everybody knows about him and he's famous, but only in his village. If he wants to become a porn star, how does one do it right now in 2024? What are the actionable steps?
So a lot of guys nowadays, I mean, if you're a good-looking dude and you have a big cock, and
Is that a requirement?
not
Not the
all,
good-looking dude, but the big cock.
not always. You just has to work. I mean, obviously, if it's like 5-6 inches, you're not going to have a big career. You know, if you got 7, 8, 9 inches, and you can get it up when they want it, and you can come on command, you know what I mean, and you don't get nervous, you don't get shy, then you've definitely got a good future. But going back, people getting into the industry nowadays are just DMing a lot of girls on Instagram or their OnlyFans or wherever it may be, and getting and in that way. Like,
Does it work?
Sometimes it does, but like you know, really, if you want to get in the industry, I mean, there's 5 or 6 reputable porn agencies that you could reach out to, and I mean, they would just ask you to email them your photos. You know what I mean? You're fully dressed, naked, soft, hard. If you're a guy, and if you're a girl, surely, like, you know, you should show your tits and spread
And
your legs.
what are those agencies? Because I would imagine in this industry there's a lot of fake type of companies,
No,
maybe
I
not
mean,
reputable companies either.
No, these are real reputable.
What would be the top
You
companies
have
that you can trust?
ATMLA. You have Spiegler Agency. You have 101 Modeling. You have OC Modeling. These are just a few off the top of my head, and there are various others too. East Coast Talent. No, I'm lucky in the respect that I know all these agencies, company owners. Again, I've not been in the industry for so long, bro. You know
Of
what I mean?
course,
So
yeah.
like you
Well,
get
for you it's
over
different
time,
right now
over
because
time,
you're established.
You get to know everybody. So that's how, if you really want to, you can contact them either through an email, or a lot of them also have Twitter or X handles, so you can get them that way. So yeah, but listen, whenever people ask me about getting in the industry, I don't help anyone. Because, I mean, I did in my early years. I'd be like, you know, if I thought that they looked the part and they really wanted to get in the industry, then yeah, sure. But now, whenever I get 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old guys, young guys, messaging me about getting in the, but I always say to them, I say, go back to school, go back to college. I say, we need more tradesmen in the world. We need more doctors. We need more surgeons. We don't need any more porn stars. Do you know what I mean? Like, leave it to me, the professional.
There you go. It's saturated enough.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me actually wonder because one of the conversations I had in my podcast was with an actor. And he's a really funny fella, my friend, Richie Stevens. And he was bringing me stats that you statistically have more chances of getting shot by a gun in Los Angeles than getting a role if you're a white male, right? So the chances of becoming an actor are so low. If you do have those requirements, like you've got a dick on you, you know, you can perform when it's needed, what are your odds? Can you just, if you can satisfy those criteria, you can make it? Or is there still a lot of selection process and there's, 50 people to one role? Like, what would you say would be the odds? How difficult it is to actually get a job and then start?
No, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's not as hard as mainstream Hollywood. You got to remember, there's a lot of porn companies, here, especially here in the San Fernando Valley, that shoot. I mean, each company does have their favorite actors. They may have like 5 or 6 guys that they shoot a lot. Do you know what I mean? And they might have 1 or 2 that they shoot more than that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I'm kind of in that category with certain companies and certain directors, is that I work constantly every month for the same companies. I mean, I've worked for every company pretty much, but I'm blessed right now that I have my same directors, and every now and then there'll be new talent that come in and shoot, but for the best part, I see the same guys on set because they're just, it's useful, and they're good talent, you know, because
it's very specific. I would imagine it takes a long time to kind of prepare somebody to do this.
So sometimes when they use the new talent, they don't succeed. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Whereas like with the established talent, we don't look at that as pressure. We just like, it's another day at the office. You know what I mean? You don't look at pressure anymore. The only pressure I feel nowadays is like if I'm on a movie, like a big budget movie that goes into hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's I'm in the last scene with the big star of the
You want
movie.
somebody
You know what I mean?
reliable.
I may feel a little bit of pressure that day, yeah, but I certainly don't let it hinder. Try not to let it hinder my performance. I don't think, I don't want to fuck this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and they're all like, oh, this has been a great movie so far. Everything's been going, you know, and then it's like that last scene. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, knowing what you know about the industry, because you've done it for so many years, would you recommend people even look that direction? You mentioned that, you know, you recommend people to look otherwise. Is that because you feel like industry is oversaturated, or is that there's more potential somewhere else? Why?
I tell you why. Yeah, it's because it makes or breaks people. Literally breaks people. Everyone thinks that you can come into porn and it's going to be your industry. Trust me, bro. Porn is not everyone's industry. People they might like sex and they might be good at sex, but it takes a special type of person to be an actual porn performer, especially but on both sides actually. I was about to say definitely on the female side, but yeah, how many guys I've heard, oh, I good job, what a great job, this and they go, that's a job? They go, you think that's a job? There's no way, buddy, that you could get your fucking dick up in front of 20 people and fucking in a room that's fucking boiling hot because it's the middle of the summer and you can't put the AC on because you don't want to ruin the sound, and you have to perform. I'm sorry, Brady, there's no way. You know, that's why there's professionals like myself that are able to do it. You know, don't get me wrong. Listen, I've had bad days at the office. You know what I mean? I've had bad days at the office. Listen, life catches up with you sometimes.
I mean, look,
you could be going through. Yeah, you could be going through like a divorce, a breakup, a death in the family. You know, you've lost a pet. You know, there's a number, millions of reasons that you could. And then you have to go to work and you have to perform, you know what I mean? And it's just all a little bit too much.
That must be really weird because, I mean, it applies to all of the other avenues of life. You know, I have shit going on with my life and I have to, you know, put it all aside and I have to do my work. But at least it doesn't require, you know, 20 people looking at me and dependent on me.
Yeah.
There's few people that are dependent on me at that point in time, but it's slightly different. You know, for you, it's even more pressure.
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah, definitely.
Happening.
Definitely.
I mean, I understand the main advantages of this position, right? You know, you do something that you enjoy, you probably make more money per hour if you were to break it down that way. That allows you flexibility and other things. But what do you think are the main disadvantages? Things that people are not thinking about. They only see the positives. What do you think the main disadvantages, though?
The only disadvantages I can think of about being in my industry is probably, like what we spoke about at the very beginning, is the stigma that comes with it, is worrying about what other people may think about you. Mm-hmm. I'm very honestly blessed in the way that I'm going to sound like Mel Gibson now, but I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me, because I have a very strong family that love me. My kids love me, and I've got a tight core group of friends that love me and would do anything for me. So like, I kid you not, I don't care. I don't give a fuck what anybody has. If anybody out there has a low opinion of me because of what I do,
it's their problem.
That's their problem. They're a judgment. You're judging me without properly knowing me. So good for you. You know what I mean? I say good for you. And bro, I'm a lover. You know what I mean? Like, even though, you know, I train. And I train jiu-jitsu and I live in peace, but I'm prepared for war. Do you know what I mean? But I've got a big heart. I love everyone. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of really. That the downside of being in my industry or doing porn is what others might think. And obviously for some people too, I guess, like that, some people sadly they have family members that cut them off. Yeah. I guess we could say that. Like, there's certain family members like mums, dads, grandparents that don't talk to certain girls that, you know, anymore because of it. And
that must be tough.
That's tough. That must be very tough. Do you know what I mean? I would hate that if my daughter didn't have such a great mindset on me and my business. If she'd have cut me off and would have been disgusted for whatever reason, that would have been really hard for me to deal with. But again, thankfully, she didn't.
No, she's lovely. She's lovely, and I think that's a big part of why you have such longevity in career, because you have people that are surrounding you that actually
Listen, for
can
years,
deal with this.
I've always said I'm going to retire at this age. I'm going to retire at this age. But then when it comes round to it, I'm like, honestly, I'm still having so much fun.
Is there such a thing as retirement age? Is there?
Listen, I have friends that are in their late 40s. I've just turned 40 years of age, as you know, and I've got friends in their mid 40s, late 40s, early 50s that are still performing and doing well. Yeah. Listen, as long as I look after my body, my tempo, I've had 2 drinks since I turned 40. I mean, like literally just 2
Well done
drinks.
on that, mate.
I don't ever go out. I don't drink. I don't party. I don't do any of that shit anymore. I eat healthy. I look after myself. I think that as long as you can maintain a healthy balance in your life, the longer the longevity of your career can be.
Yeah.
You know, you literally have to look after yourself. If you're eating all the wrong foods, you have a bad diet, and if you're drinking heavily, if you smoke cigarettes, if you just...
I mean, it's still a performance-based business.
Listen,
you have
to be an athlete. You have to be an athlete. You have to be an athlete to do porn. I'm not joking. And I'll give you a little example. So I was doing a scene with a lovely girl called Adira Allure and I just worked with Adira Allure a week and a half ago. But this scene, in fact, I've worked with her like 3 times in the past 5 months. But I think like 4 months ago, she started off the scene like a and she can't tell much like in the first position, you know.
And you're like,
and the director,
you're gonna burn yourself up.
Yeah, I thought there's no way she can do this for 25 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the director gave her the signal like we've had enough of that position, change, you know.
Yeah.
So she went from cowgirl to reverse cowgirl, so she's facing the camera, and she went, and she went, she goes, I need 5 minutes, and I said to her, I said, sweetheart, I said it's a marathon, not a race. I said, why are you going so crazy? You know, you're out of control. And so, you know, but she started with that tempo, so now she has to finish with it, because otherwise the scene just looks stupid.
It just looks...
Yeah, you know, the only time she gets to rest is
together.
when, like, I'm in doggy style or in missionary, you know what I mean? So, or like in spoon. So I said to her, you got one more position, acting fucking all nuts.
Yeah.
So 5 more minutes of acting.
So you have to be strategic.
She has to be like it's like an angry fuck. It's quite funny. But yeah. You have to be fit to do porno, definitely.
That makes sense. But let's touch on financial aspect of it. Overall, being in the industry, is that a lucrative industry?
Again, it all depends on what tier of the industry you're in.
So let's split it in. How many tiers would you roughly say there could be? There's a Premier League.
5
that's
or
where
6.
You're at.
It's 5 or 6 tiers of porn.
So let's kind of briefly define them. So tier number 1, what is it?
Premier League.
Okay.
You have the Championship, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, Division 4.
So let's start with the bottom. Bottom of the pile, what's that?
Cam models, like cam models.
Okay.
Listen, some cam models might make a lot of money. Very rare. You know, but they're not making nowhere near the amount of money that like the elite people are making.
So let's jump to the elite, because that's where everybody wants to be.
So some girls in the industry are making 250, 300,000 per month on their OnlyFans account.
You fucking joking me right now.
So I have a friend that runs a bunch of peak girls accounts, okay? And he told me that he has 8 women on there that every month they're making over 250,000 a month. And he's taking 30% of each of them girls. So you do the math on that. And he's running a lot more girls, but he's got about 8 girls that are making $250,000 a month, and he's taking 30%. So you think 75 grand? 75 grand times 8. That's what he's getting off of them. It's a lot of money, right? So yeah, my OnlyFans does really well. I mean, on a bad month, I'll make 8 grand. And on a good month, I can make anywhere from 15, 20 grand.
And then you supplement that with the regular work.
Regular work, yeah. So, again, I'm very blessed to be in the position that I am, and I'm very happy with the. Listen, at 40 years of age, I've never made as much money as I am right now, so I'm very lucky.
Is that
I save like a squirrel, bro. I'm not even paying. Listen, when I was younger, I used to spunk money like you won't believe.
Yeah.
But like, oh, bro, I used to. But listen, I'm still guilty of looking after people around me. Like if I go out for dinner, I'm paying for it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's like a Tony Soprano type thing. But like, you know what I mean? Like I do. I look after my friends around me, and I just went to a reggae concert at the weekend with a bunch of friends, and it was $100 a ticket, and they all went to get their money out, and I bought the tickets. You know what I mean? Like I just do that because I'm able to. You know. Yeah, and I like doing it. It's not because I have to, but I enjoy doing that. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a protector. I love looking after people.
Is that a sexist industry where one sex makes more money than the other? Who makes more money?
The girls make a little bit more money, but then again, listen, 95% of people that buy porn are doing it for the girl. They're buying it for the girl. Yeah. Also, the girls are there on set.
Do you have a problem with that? Let me ask you that.
No, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm very happy with the money I get.
Yeah.
There's other guys that make more money than me. But that's them. I'm not them, am I? I'm me. Yeah. So again, I don't get jealous on other people's. There's not one guy in the business that I look at and I think, oh, I'm jealous of him. Oh, he's got what I want, or I want that. You know what I mean? It's like and all the girls that are obviously succeeding, I'm nearly friends with all of them. You know what I mean? It's only a handful that I just don't think they're very nice people, so I just don't mingle with them. You know what I mean? I love to see everyone succeed and be happy.
No, just the person you are. But do you feel like being in this industry, do you feel like it had an effect on your personal life in a certain way, one way or another?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it has.
But does it have to?
I'm sure it has.
Is there a possibility to do this and not have it affect your personal life?
No, I'm sure it has, but this is all I've known. This is who I am. Do you know what I mean? Because, again, I've just turned 40, but I've been doing this since I was 19 and a half. So for 20 years and 6 months, so over half my life, I've been in the porn industry. So I don't, if the industry has affected my life in any way, I don't really, I mean, I can't feel that it's affected me because this is all I've known. I haven't stopped doing porn and gone into civilian life and done whatever, you know, in sales, marketing, or whatever it could be, you know, work at a bloody Starbucks, Uber driver, work in a bar, restaurant, you know, whatever. That I've never done that because I haven't wanted to, or it's just because I've just stayed in porn, and even through the slow times in porn, when it's been a little slow and that.
Is there a seasonal type of a?
Not for me. I mean, it does for some people, but I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed. I'm very, you know, consistent with my work, with the people that give me the work, and so yeah.
If you had a magic wand, I mean, obviously you possess one, being in the industry for 21 years. But if you could look back in the past and change something, would you change it up? Would you change you being in the industry for 20 years, or?
No, I don't think I would. It's just I would, if there was anything. Like we were talking about someone a little earlier, a friend of ours that used to be on the team. Like there's certain people that I wouldn't give my time, trust, and love to, because they mess me about. They like, you know, like again, I've been in business for so long. There's probably 4 or 5 people in the business that I just wouldn't give them the time of day or show them the love that I did, because it was just a waste of my time.
But professionally,
no, I wouldn't change a thing. And listen, I keep saying this, but I'm super blessed, and I'm very grateful for the life that I live on a daily basis. And sometimes it can be a little tedious in the respect that sometimes I feel like it's Groundhog Day. Do you know what I mean? But then when I feel like that, that's when I have to do something crazy, like.
So what do you do?
I go skydiving.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Or I go and do something. I have to, you know, something.
You know, I've seen that thing. One of my friends posted this, and I really was considering doing it. So there's this company somewhere in California. I think it's Northern California, where you get on that itty bitty plane, but they basically harness you, and you could step out of your seat and you could get on the wings.
Yeah.
And just stand like that. Yeah. I was thinking about it, but I don't know. Not with a kid coming up in a month. I'm like, probably not the best idea now.
Yeah. I went to take one of my friends skydiving once, and he literally on the way, he cried his eyes out and begged me to stop the car because he had a child on the way. and he
You didn't think about it before?
Yeah, I guess it just creeped. That was one of his excuses. But he also runs a different friend. He runs a company out in Dubai, and it's worth like hundreds of millions. They make hundreds of millions every year. Yeah. And he said to me, "You don't realise how important I am." He goes, "So many people depend on me." And I said to him, "If you listen,
if you shit in your pants, you can tell me I'm your friend.
I can see you're so scared." And he's like, "I don't want to do it." So
that's
didn't
so
go.
funny.
But yeah.
So I wanted to finish on the last question. Being in my industry for about 10 years, I feel like it starts to shape my personality a little bit. The qualities that the job requires start changing me a little bit as a person. Do you feel like you being in your industry changed you in any way, or maybe shaped you and your personality somehow?
No, I don't believe so. I think that my character and personality and everything was molded when I was growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in the 80s and 90s in West London. And I just grew into a young man in my industry. I mean, obviously I grew up. I was still a kid when I joined the industry, you know what I mean? So again, like, we all have a persona, regardless of what industry we're in. We all put on a persona. We can't always act the way we like in daily life. So this is what I keep referring back to. When I turn up on set, I'm a gentleman. If I'm working for, it's very rare now, but if I'm working for a new company, I go on set and I introduce myself. I'm always warm, welcoming, and I'm just try to be a nice guy. If I can see that the talent is nervous or whatnot, I try and make them feel at ease, go and talk to them, make them feel relaxed, and again, just try and make it go easy. So no, I don't feel like it's molded me in any way. I believe that my upbringing molded me into the person I am today, and my friends from back in London kept my feet firmly on the floor, on the ground.
It's important.
Through the success that I had over the years in porn, and it's minor celebrity, if you ask me. Again, not everyone knows who I am, but in a crowd of, say, 1,000 people, 40, 50 people might.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because again, porn is well watched and it's quite diverse now. But yeah.
I've known you as a human before I knew that you were a porn star. And now, 15 years later, almost 15 years later, I really appreciate the fact that I continue knowing you as just a good human being. And, industries could change us. Certainly your industry could change people, and we know some people that it changed. The fame, the ability to do things that a lot of men only dreaming about certainly could change things, but I keep knowing you as a person. That's a great example for me as a father. So I'm very thankful for you for that. And also as a person that does jiu-jitsu. This is something that I'm hoping I'm going to get into as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you, brother,
it really
for being
means
here.
a lot. Thank you.
Appreciate it.